I've had successes and failures in my life. I've been in the 1% tax category, and I have been so poor I didn't know if I could afford a $5 pizza. In those low moments, the only thing that will keep you going is tenacity.
Today on the show, we have Stephen Paul Matsumoto, and he has the awesome, long, coolest name. And I'm going to start off the show by, I want to give you a compliment, something that I've noticed about you, why I wanted to be networking with you and bring you onto the show also, is you have a way of promoting without bragging. It's something I really have been watching and trying to figure out, okay, how do I copy that same style? Because the things that you're doing, I see them getting promoted like on social media and whenever you talk about them, but you have certain kind of humbleness, like a quiet, like a nice part of your personality that makes it not feel like bragging. And so congratulations on that. I think it's a good quality to have. Stephen Paul Matsumoto, welcome to the High Performers Podcast.
Thank you. I don't think I've ever had anyone tell me that I was humble.
Maybe you just carry it in a nice, kind way.
Everyone's like, it's like, you have such a big head. I'm like, no, here's my hat size. Really, it's not that large. It's actually below average.
So let's start off the show. I've got some questions that I asked people from the very beginning of the show. Now I know a lot about what you've been doing. I like it. You put you a recovering banker and you've done a lot of stuff in finance, and now you've got a new enterprise you're just now starting. So what do you tell people when they ask you, what do you do for a living?
As little as possible.
Yeah, that's
which is
becoming
the exact opposite of the truth. But it's like, I find it's a great little comedic relief, especially at networking events, because everyone's like, well, everyone's eager to pitch you and sell you. And I'm like, dude, I'm not here to sell you. Yes. I'm not. I am the worst salesperson on the planet. I will give you information to make an informed decision, but I'm not a hard close. And then, of course, it's like, I've got a couple of businesses, one of which is the liquor store that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. I've got another one that is a consulting and branding agency. And then, like you said, it's like I was a business banker for several of the large national institutions. Unfortunately, certain documents prevent me from disclosing who they were in a video such as this, but I just have a pretty diverse background. I just describe myself as a Renaissance man in the truest form. I get bored easily, and I'm constantly learning and reinventing myself.
And that's a perfect kind of a little recipe for what they call the serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm constantly trying. It's like I started my first business at 18 years old in high school with a couple of high school buddies. I had saw some infomercial on how to pre-approve people for mortgages. And this was in like the late 80s, early 90s. It wasn't when you could go online and you go to Rocket Mortgage and get an approval. This was like, okay, we're going to real estate offices going, hey, we can pre-approve your folks so that and it ended up didn't going anywhere. My other business partners at the time didn't quite have the same drive and ethic. They just thought it was fun.
Sure.
So
how many businesses would you say you've owned like that? Or been a part of or founded or however it winds up?
I'd say a minimum of half a dozen. I've probably lost track, but like got recruited by the MLMs several times. One of the larger, most well-known ones, of course, Amway. I think I don't know. It's like I learned to spot Amway folks a mile away because they were always trying to recruit me. And I gave it a try once or twice. And I'm like, guys, listen, nothing against you or the program. It's just not the way I choose to move forward.
Yeah.
But have you ever done a reading habit?
Say it again.
Oh, I was saying it's like one of the things that did teach me was a reading habit, because
yes,
your upline, I think is what they called it. But there was educational stuff. And so they had book lists and tape lists, things like Think and Grow Rich, The Richest Man in Babylon. And it's like, I think I have given away more copies of Think and Grow Rich than I've read.
Yeah. I think the same. So let's talk about some of those books. Think and Grow Rich is a good one. That's like a basic one that a lot of people start off with. Robert Kiyosaki. What are some of the books you're reading now? Because you're quite a bit more advanced than in the that's kind of like the beginner entrepreneur books that everybody has to read to start understanding what you're even trying to pursue. So what are you on to now?
Started 48 Laws of Power. That is a thick one that is a very cerebral read. It's not a quick read. Of course, I love Simon Sinek's books, so I've got Start With Why and then Leaders Eat Last, which is actually taken from a military leadership principle. in which the junior military personnel always eat before the senior military personnel. Let's see here. I've got the workbook for Start With Why, The Science of Getting Rich. I had my briefcase here. Do you remember The Secret back in 2007 when that came out?
Sure.
So it's like I managed to find all of the books that The Secret was based off of. And they all came from the early 1900s. I mean, like 1910, pre-Think and Grow Rich, because I think that came out in 1933.
That sounds right.
But I just nerd out on stuff like that. I'm like, okay, this is cool, but what is the etymology of it? Where did it start?
Yeah.
And how has it evolved? And it's
funny
how all of these books that were written in the 1900s are still relevant today. The principles are the exact same. They've just been repackaged over and over and over again.
Who would you say was the first one to get started on those books?
I think the gentleman's name was Wallace Wattles.
Okay.
I have some of his books, I believe that like those were some of the very first ones.
Do you think he's before W. Clement Stone?
Yeah, because W. Clement Stone was a student of Napoleon Hill.
Oh. And he's the one that put it in for the insurance companies. Very popular in the insurance game. And then, of course, MLMs right after that. MLMs love to eat up all that personal development.
Exactly. So, that's something that I took away from my Amazon days.
Very good.
Or not Amazon, Amway. I apologize.
Amway, yeah.
The other big A.
The other big A. So you mentioned military. You're a Marine.
Correct.
And so how long did you stay active?
I actually did a reserve program where I was 6 years reserves, 2 years in active reserve, because I was going through college and an officer selection program in college. Unfortunately, during my last 6 weeks of training at Officers Candidate School, I had developed some health issues that created some challenges, was medically disqualified from OCS, and when I went back and tried to get back in, they're like, okay, congratulations. You have to start all the way at zero. You have to fill out another application. You have to go. I'm like, I'm on my 7th year as a Marine. I'm a sergeant at this point. And I'm like, guys, this is why good talent leaves the Marine Corps. And I found that corporate America is very much the same. It's like sometimes the process gets involved or how do I say this? The process overrides common sense and discourages the right behaviors.
So how does that translate over into businesses? Because there are read some ideas similar to this where they've been talking about whenever you lock things in and you don't pay attention to them and change and keep going, especially if you're growing, the quicker you're growing, the more things are changing quickly. So you're constantly having to readjust your processes and procedures on how you run your business. So how do you see that working, coming from the example of the military over into corporate America or businesses?
Not the Marines, but the Navy SEALs have a saying, the only easy day was yesterday. And I came into it, and contrary to popular belief, the Marine Corps is not just a bunch of robots that just blindly follow orders. You were taught leadership and decision making at the most junior levels. And so they're not all just a bunch of mindless robots that are blindly following orders. It's like you're taught critical thinking and decision making skills and how to evaluate the situation and adapt to the situation. And so when I transferred out of corporate America and got into leadership, or out of the military and into corporate America and got into leadership roles within corporate America, the culture in corporate America is pretty much the opposite of the military. In the military, you are encouraged to learn the job 3 roles above you. Corporate America, that manager 3 roles above you sees you as a threat to his position and his livelihood.
Yes.
And so they don't want you to know what they know because they view that as job security. So that was one of the first things transitioning that I noticed. And then the other thing is, you would ask, why are we doing it this way? Is there not a better way? That's the way we've always done it. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't mean it's the right way. It's like, granted, it's worked, you're getting along, but if in contemporary vernacular, and it would be cognitive bias. They just They're so blinded by this is what we do, this is how it works. They don't even know why they do it that way because it was just done that way for so long that they haven't even thought that there might be a better way of looking at it and challenging it.
Yeah.
And so that was another thing that I found and that frustrated me because I know that I don't know everything. And I try to surround myself with people that know more than I do. We've had some great conversations and about things.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from you just from listening to you talk about different ways that we've been.
Same way. And that's how it should be. It's where sometimes I can get myself in trouble is sometimes that military command presence intimidates people that aren't used to it. And they view that as you trying to run over them. What of it? I've been told I'm concrete, and I'm like, no, I'm really not. It's like I'm decisive and I can sum up a situation really quickly. But if you can present me with solid evidence of a better way, then I will concede to that but if your only argument is that's the way we've always done it, that's not an argument. There is no intellectual or analytical data to back up why that's the best process. It's just an opinion.
Sure.
So I'm very data driven.
Very data driven. Would you say that you got that from your time doing banking?
No, because I was like, the automotive industry is very much like that. When I was in the automotive industry, right out of getting out of the military, and I'm using a lot of those skills that I learned in parts management and fixed operations at car dealerships towards the liquor store that I just recently purchased with a partner. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's rum or tires. If you don't know what's selling, what's trending, and then you can't really make intelligent decisions on how to stock your store. And so we brought in a industry specific point of sale system that syncs with the major distributors as mobile app technology to where an employee can scan bottles on the shelf and do a spot inventory that way, tracks all the sales history and grades everything on an ABCD level so that we know who our fast movers are and we know what our dead stock is. Because otherwise it's going to come in as, why don't you have this flavor of this liquor? And I'm like, never heard of that before. Let me write it down over here in this notebook. And I've started doing that. I've got a notebook, and anyone that's asked for something, I write it down and then I put a tick mark next to it. And if 5 people ask for that, then I talk to the distributor about it, because a case is typically 6 bottles. So if 5 people are asking for it, if you can extrapolate that more people haven't asked for it, and okay, I'll try a case.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. Let's back up and talk about how you got this liquor store. Because it seems like it came out of nowhere. I know you were probably looking for businesses, not necessarily undercover, but you weren't really advertising, hey, I'm out looking for businesses. So how long have you been looking for a business to buy?
Adam and I have been friends for a long time. He's back in Seattle, and we had both decided probably about 9 months ago that we needed to find cash flowing recession proof businesses, because he's a wealth manager, I'm a banker. We're like, dude, the market conditions right now, if you're actually in the finance industry, I'm like, dude, I could have told you this was going to happen 18 months ago. We were overdue for this kind of a correction, but most people don't pay attention to the patterns. And so we started looking for ways to redeploy some capital to where we could find those cash flowing assets. And it started off looking for a coin operated laundromats.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, it's like we had done some due diligence. The problem is those usually attract one of 2 types of owners. The owner where this is their first business and some business broker sold them on the potential of it, and they overpaid for a
bunch of crappy equipment and a lease from somebody else.
Sold them that, oh, this is absentee, you don't have to be there. It's like, I'm sorry, there's no such thing as an absentee business. Not until you get to the level of Branson or Gates or Bezos, where they've built the processes and the foundation to where it can run without them directly involved. And then the other one is the person who likes to have holes in the collection bucket, and the tax returns don't look like what they're telling you it really makes.
I
And
find that
so,
a lot in my business too.
yeah, it's so we
You ever
looked at
look at
some
their financials
laundromats.
and you're like, why don't you just tell me the truth? Can you give me the one that's the truth? Because this is obviously
Yeah, it's who are you, Al Capone? You got your books that you give to the IRS and the books that land you in freaking Alcatraz.
yeah. Yeah, that's what it seems like a lot when you come into these small businesses. I'd say maybe it's about half and half. I'd like to hear your opinion on this because you've been looking at businesses. So you've been dealing with these sellers and looking at their financials. Would you say that, just from your guess, would you say it's more mistakes or choosing to put money creatively where they want to put it on their financials? I would say it's about 50-50. Would you say?
I would say that too. I think actually I would put it 75-25. I think most people, and I learned this selling branding and marketing services back in Seattle. Most business owners start a business because, hey, I'm a really good plumber. I know what they're charging for my time versus what they're paying me. I'm going to start my own plumbing business. But they don't know anything about bookkeeping, marketing,
Yes.
regulatory environment.
Yeah.
They don't know what they don't know. They don't know about taxes. They don't know how to, it's like,
Form a corporation, open a
the
bank
taxes
account.
have automatically been taken away from them. And now they have to have the discipline to take them out themselves. And I'm sorry, but most people don't have that discipline. That's why the 80-20 rule exists. And I've been there. I haven't had that discipline in the past and made those mistakes. But that's how you learn. That if you're open to it, that's how you learn. Success is a terrible teacher.
Yeah, that's true. So
I really think that 75% of it is just, and most people view this word with negative connotation, but it's just ignorance. You just don't know what you don't know.
Sure.
And since their circle doesn't know either, where do you find the information? And that's why, like, when I was a business banker, if I was opening accounts for a brand new business, I'm like, have you sat down with the SBA yet? And most of them didn't even know what the SBA was.
Yeah.
That's how little research they put into opening a small business. And so I always viewed my role as, I want to help you avoid the mistakes I made, and I'm going to give you resources that I wish I had or wish I had leveraged better when I started.
How many of those customers would you say you worked with over the years where they were basically starting a small business and they were coming for what? They were coming for debt?
Some people were. I've had some folks that's like, they didn't even have a business yet. And it's like, hey, I want to start a business. It's like, what can you do for me for business loans? I'm like, here's a nonprofit community development fund that might be able to give you a $10,000 micro loan. It's like, banks are cash flow lenders.
Yeah.
You need to have a minimum of 2 years of profitability in the 6 figures for them to even consider giving you anything more than a credit card.
Yeah. And so that was the bad news. You were
credit card help.
So that would be the bad news you're giving to new business owners.
Unfortunately, a little bit of, if you look at social media, oh, starting a business is so easy, getting money is so easy. It's like, we glorify tech culture, which goes out and gets all this VC money, and these people are just throwing money at these companies. If yes and no, those people they've calculated the risk. They have deep analytical teams that research all of this stuff. And I've pitched angel investors for business opportunities before, and they're just as guilty of cognitive bias of everyone else because they made their money in a specific industry. And so things that are outside of that industry are just as foreign to them as me learning Latin.
Yeah. So, and I found a lot of people that's actually kind of part of my strategy, is to focus on the one industry so that I become better than everybody else that does multiple industries. So that wound up being a
specialization. That's a principle straight out of Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich. Specialized knowledge. And so we looked at laundromats, looked at a vending machine route, had almost pulled a trigger on an ATM route, and that was just being held up with the banking situation, because being a banker, I knew exactly why the banks were gun shy about an ATM route, because it could potentially get them in trouble with anti-money laundering laws. And then just by happenstance, a friend had a friend who was a business broker who posted on their Facebook page, fire sale, liquor store, phone number. I got a screenshot of that post on a Sunday, called the guy on a Monday, had tax returns by Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm like, all right, we're ready to sign an LOI on Friday, and did the due diligence on the following Tuesday, wired money the Friday after that, took over the store the Tuesday after that.
Wow. That is fast.
It was fast, but we had seen enough tax returns. Adam and I are both finance guys anyway, so we could spot the red flags. It was a fire sale, so we already knew we were getting into a distressed asset.
Yeah.
And after looking at it, it's okay, we can't evaluate this like we would if we were buying a healthy business, because it's just not. They've gotten themselves into a situation. But well, it's like, it was exactly what I described. It was that 75% of business owners that started a business, were modestly successful at it, didn't know what they didn't know, made some bad decisions. Unfortunately, in the liquor industry, those bad decisions have dire consequences. And it's okay, we sell or we close. And had we not purchased it, the business would have closed at the end of November.
Wow.
And there was no inventory on shelves. It's like, you could tell that the owner was just emotionally drained and beaten up. And
I'm finding that so much more important than I thought it was maybe 10 years ago. That when you're dealing with a lot of these distressed properties, that's what you're getting into. You're almost like you're a therapist. You're helping them through the process, and they're like crying on your shoulder, giving you hugs. Oh, thank you so much, Alex. You're saving our family. And what's really crazy is that same person that's hugging you and saying thank you, 2 weeks later, they'll jack up the price whenever a cousin or something wants more money.
We are running into challenges with adhering to contractual obligations as we speak.
So how much can you talk about it?
And that actually brings up a really good point, because A, it's human nature. B, it's like, you have to decide. It's like, is this worth pursuing, or is it just, you know what, cut bait and let it go? Because some of the stuff that we're running into is, yes, there could be long-term liability to it, but right now it's, should we focus on rebuilding the business or focus on tilting at windmills? If you remember Don Quixote.
I don't. Say it again.
Tilting at windmills.
Which is attacking them like they're dragons.
Don Quixote, he would charge. He thought windmills were dragons, and on his donkey with his lance, he would charge at windmills. So you would tilt your lance at the windmill. And so that's kind of phrase that I've probably been using for 6 or 7 years about, is this particular challenge worth fighting?
Yeah.
Because you have to pick your battles. Otherwise, you'll throw good money after bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like 5 years ago, I was getting into every single battle. It was almost like I was looking for a fight. Everywhere you could look, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to be pushed around like that. I'm going to push back on this and push back on that. And not only is it an unpleasant life to live, to be constantly a battle like that, but it just distracts and slows down from your business. So whenever you were saying pick your battles, my pick is none. Just try everything to stay out of a battle. Just try in business. I don't know about relationships. I'm not the relationship guy. I don't know about that. But when it comes to business, just try to stay out of every battle. All this hardcore pushback, all that kind of thing. Yeah. You're just setting yourself up for a life. It's just really unpleasant and not very fun, you know?
Yeah, and that's why I refuse to be like that hard close personality, that Grant Cardone personality. Dude, God bless Grant Cardone. I've known of him for years because he started off teaching sales training in the automotive industry, and now he's a very successful real estate investor. But that hardcore automotive sales culture, I'm like, dude, no, been there, done that. Not for me. It's here it is. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
If you don't buy it, someone else will. I'm not going to try to convince you to buy, because if I have to use those hard close techniques, that's when buyer's remorse sets in.
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of what you and I do, it's not like car sales, which is very transactional. We need those relationships for decades after we've had that transaction.
Yes, you're right. Especially when we're talking to bankers and we're talking about 30-year loans, millions of dollars, family offices. They're talking about investing with you for 5 or 10 and a long play and a fund or something. Yeah, those relationships. I got a Ryan Miller always talks about, it's a guy I know. He talks about relationships and reputation. So he calls it R. And it's just relationships and reputation. And I've heard this from a few people, a couple of different words, just mixing it around. But they're saying at this level, once you get past, you've started your business, you've got it running, you need to get to a place where all you're doing is relationships and reputation, or marketing, reputation, the same thing. And that's been a big focus for me. Going back to what you were talking about with the 48 Laws of Power, you're reading it now, right?
I haven't gotten as deep as I should in it. I'm really just starting. That thing's like reading a dictionary.
Yes, it is. All of his books are like that. Let me show you something real quick. Hang on. Okay, so back from the bookshelf, this is Robert Greene's book, The 48 Laws of Power. And it's this real popular book. This is the one we're talking about. If you want to go get it, I highly suggest it. But you can see not a tiny little book. But I wanted to show you something.
It's a desktop dictionary.
It is. I wanted to show you something, Stephen. So this is something I had made. This is the 48 Laws of Power, leather bound, Robert Greene. And I got it personalized with my core values: tenacity, integrity, persistence, and service. And so anyway, I got this leather bound version of it. And I've got 3 of his books that are like this: The Art of War, 33 Strategies of War, and the 48 Laws of Power. I got bound like that. I'll probably get Human Nature and the other one's Mastery. I'll probably get all those bound together too. But anyway, that book, what I wanted to talk about is that whenever I was first reading it, everybody gets put off at the very beginning. Like, man, this is like teaching people how to be like Machiavellian and manipulative and how to control people. What I wound up reading it for is, I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in the foreword where the author Robert Greene talks about this book is to teach you these techniques so you can be aware of them and pay attention to them and not
fall prey to them.
Not fall prey to them. That's exactly right. That's exactly
situational awareness, as we would say in a military environment.
That's right. Yeah. So as you're reading it, I want to hear from you later what you're learning from the book and what you've been able to avoid.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah,
I'll have to start hitting it. I'll have to start hitting it a little harder.
It's really good. So it's very powerful. There are techniques in there. They're actually, I don't want to say they're old or they're played out, but they used to be much more powerful when they weren't as popular. Now that the book is more popular, more people know about it. So they can we're all becoming armchair psychiatrists where we're starting to see dysfunction and understand it better. And it's becoming more part of like common parlance for people to talk about like different dysfunction. Like we were just talking about, you're basically a therapist for a lot of these business owners that are getting out of their business. I've gotten into where like I'm basically in their family. I'm getting calls from their family attorney about, oh, what about when mom dies? And I'm almost doing like family planning with them, wealth planning, estate planning with these groups of people who just want to buy their business. But in order to buy their business, a lot of times you have to get involved with them in this way. So is that what you've been having on this business?
No, we went through a broker. It's more going back to, I think the owner that we're working with, my partner Adam and I were talking about this when we were trying to figure out what we're going. It's like, we honestly believe that she just doesn't understand what she signed. She thinks, okay, I sold my business. I have no obligations anymore at this point to the business. They're like, well, no, it's like the contract very specifically lays out that any expenses that you incurred as the business owner before we signed this document, you are responsible for. I'm not responsible for last month's insurance bill. I'm not responsible for last month's merchant processing bill. I'm not responsible for last month's reporting to the comptroller. So you still have to do those things. It's like the business, your part of the business didn't just stop the day we took over ownership. And then it's like getting some of it. I deleted the Facebook account. I'm like, anybody that has a Facebook page knows that it's never deleted. It's deactivated. I'm like, okay, I understand you think you deleted it. It's I've got a background in digital marketing. Just come in and let's log into the account and let's make sure it's deleted. Because if it's not, then that's part of what we paid for when we bought the business. Because that property has value to it. They're still using the email address that they had set up for the liquor store, and I'm like, we need that password. You can't use that anymore. It's like that we bought that from you, so you're literally replying to us with the email that you were supposed to turn over to us when we bought the business.
So it seems like a lot of people are so ingrained into their business and like commingled, not just the funds, but like the assets and the Facebook and the email are commingled into their life and their regular personal life.
Exactly. And that's why it's like people say, oh, what's your email address? I'm like, which one? It's like I thought I had 6, but I'm pretty sure I probably have more than that.
You got to get an email management system or just hire
most of them do. It's luckily most of them are forwarders that all go to my main one. But yeah, it's fun and it's interesting and it's challenging when there's a certain amount of pride involved in something that you built over 8 years and now it's gone. It's like the only thing I could think it would be similar to is a child going off to college and no longer needing their parents.
Yeah, it sounds.
And I'm sure
right.
Going back to we just talked about therapists and psychology. It's like I'm sure that there's something there just based off of the way someone replies to simple requests. It's like when their response is just over the top, I'm like, okay, what's behind that response? And I do this all the time because I know that, like I said, it's like sometimes that command presence, that the Marine part of my brain doesn't necessarily read the emotional environment very well. And so I'll go back and I'm like, okay, if I get like a fiery response to something, it's like, I'll sit down with a friend. I'm like, okay, is it something I did, or is it how they interpreted what I did? Because that's again going back to it's like always trying to get better. I don't mean to offend people. I just know that my innate personality traits sometimes offend people, which is why your lead in, I'm like, are we talking about me?
No, but among peers, I can see that. I can see that working in a environment where you need to get things done and you're pushing for it. That humbleness is that in our peer group and our people that we hang out with, you never come off as flashy and bragging, but you're still talking about what you're doing. And that's the quality that I'm latching on to, that I'm watching, that I'm copying. Yeah, it's a good quality. It's a good quality.
We'll have to see if we can find some closed circuit TV of me doing that so I can figure out what that is that I'm doing and intentionally duplicate it.
Okay, I'll write you a pamphlet on how I studied what you do so that you can know how you do what you do. That'll be a $500 course, please.
There we go.
Yeah. So let's get back. There's some of the questions that I have there standard. And so this is the High Performers podcast. So I bring people on that I admire and people that I see something in, that I see something high performing in them. That's you. So let's just talk about just that word. What does the word high performance mean to you?
I think it's honestly a buzzword personally. I'm no disrespect.
No, what would you use instead?
I don't consider myself a high performer. Maybe that's part of my own psychology.
Maybe that's where the humility comes in. I just
get out there and I just grind. I try to, but not in the way like we talk about like Grant Cardone, alpha, grind, beat up, overwhelm. It's like that quiet stoicism. It's like okay, here's or mission accomplishment. We'll stick with the Marine theme. It's like there's a mission. Put your head down, get the mission done. That's it. And so I just do the work. It's like right now it's 6 days a week, 14-hour days between trying to get a new business stabilized, maintain relationships with my primary business, and then try to find some balance in there for personal time too.
That might be a little time, maybe a little time.
That's why Sunday was invented, right?
Yeah.
I am going back to Seattle to visit my family for the holidays, so I'll have a couple of days. But yeah, it's weird. It's like, thank you for the compliment, but I've never considered myself a high performer. I just do. There's talkers and there's doers. And a story from when I was in the military, it was time for our annual physicals, as is customary in the military. And we're out in the field doing field exercises. They're bringing the Navy corpsmen in a van to take us back to the hospital 6 at a time to go through these annual physicals. And of course, I'm focused on what's going on in the training exercise. So I'm in the very back of the van going through my notes and studying some things. And then there's other guys that are towards the front of the van that are just gregarious, very vocal. And the corpsman finally says, "And the only one of you Marines I'm afraid of is Matsumoto, because he hasn't said 2 words this whole freaking trip."
You had him worried, huh?
If you have to tell me you're cool, there's a 90% chance you're not cool.
Yeah.
If you have to tell me I'm successful, there's a 90% chance you're not. And I guess maybe that's where what you're talking about with that humility is. I've had people come up to me at events and it's like everyone's talking to me. And this was in the early days of social media where I was very active in the digital marketing community back in Seattle. And folks, it's like, who are you? I'm like, nobody. I'm Steve. Who are you?
Never let them see you coming.
I found that being underestimated is a very powerful asset.
So you don't even need the 48 laws of power. That's one of the laws in there. He talks about when you're strong, act weak, and when you're weak, act strong. It's a little bit of the same philosophy.
But the steel sharpens steel.
Sure.
Sorry, I rambled on. Did you have another question?
No, you're allowed to ramble. That's cool. I do have another question, though. So while we have you on here, let's let people find out how to connect to you. Because you've just bought this liquor store. Can we talk about the name and where it is and all that kind of stuff?
It's Juno's Liquor in South Arlington. It's about maybe a half mile or so from the Arlington-Mansfield border off of South Cooper. Their Instagram is at Juno's Liquor. As I mentioned, we're still working on the Facebook page, junosliquor.com. I was surprised that they didn't actually own the URL. So I was able to buy that and get a landing page up, which I'm probably going to be working on here in a little bit. Although I do got to head out to the store here in a little bit so I can open it up. But yeah,
how do people reach out?
My personal stuff is, you can find me at Stephen Paul Matsumoto on LinkedIn. My primary company name is Stigmar, and that's where I do a lot of my consulting through and marketing stuff through.
Would you say that was like your main business when you were talking before about the marketing, online marketing?
Yeah, so it's like Stigmar. So when I started Stigmar in 2009, the vision statement was Mad Men meets The Devil Wears Prada.
Okay.
It's because that movie was hot at the time, and Mad Men was a very popular show at the time about the advertising industry.
Sure.
And so I tried to give it a very luxe image and catered very much to the fashion industry. And Stigmar is actually the Latin word for to brand or mark. But yeah, that's where I generate most of my business income from right now.
And how long until Juno's takes that over?
We definitely need to get more inventory on the shelves. It's like we've slowly been putting in orders over the last the great thing is liquor distributors deliver twice a week. We did put in a very substantial order yesterday, and we are slowly starting to get the fill the shelves. Luckily, it's like I kept one of the long-term employees and made them the store manager. So that one, going back to there's no such thing as an absentee business. It's about as absentee as I can be. I'm still out there in the evenings a couple of nights a week after doing full-time stuff during the day, and then giving him a couple of days off, 2 days a week. So the first one of the ways that we did that was to go to a 4-10 schedule as opposed to a 5-8 schedule. And I just had that worked very well for me when I was in the automotive industry. It's like we saw gross profit triple by changing just that one thing and then some of our buying patterns. So I'm really using a lot of the things that made me very successful when I was in the automotive industry before I left that in 2006 to be freelance and start my own business, to kickstart Junos and get it going back on the right direction. It's like my goal is to try to get it to $1 million a year business within the next 2 years.
Nice. And then do you want to hold it long term?
Yeah, right now it's like we're actually, Adam and I have been talking about doing a second fundraising round and converting it from an LC to a C Corp. What I've been learning about the market where it's at, Mansfield and Midlothian, which are two of the closest cities to the store, are both dry cities. There's no hard alcohol sold in those cities.
And they had no website, so they probably had no advertising online in there.
Yeah, it was like word of mouth. And so
probably a neighborhood
the
place
growth
too.
plan would to start pecking stores around the border in cities that don't have those dry laws.
That sounds like a private equity thesis for a roll-up.
I would love to get some stores up in Dallas and Collin County just because that's closer to where I live. And I actually had a friend in Miami reach out to me and say, I've been watching what you're doing, and I think I want to open a liquor store in Miami. It's like, give me 6 months. Let me get our processes dialed in, and maybe we'll talk about a licensing agreement.
Yeah, because once you get the platform up, you can just buy these mom and pops and plug them into your platform. That's a PE roll-up. That's the basics of it.
Yeah, and the liquor industry, the margins are incredibly thin. And so if you think liquor store owners are getting rich, they're not.
Really?
There are things where it is a 5% gross margin. So it's volume. And the only way to really make money is with that volume and purchase discounts on the back end from the distributors. Doing 5 case deals, 10 case deals of one SKU to drive the price down. So it's
cool.
It's been an
I bet
interesting
you nobody understood that.
What's that?
I bet you none of us understood that. What's a 5K steal?
We'll sit down over a whiskey and we'll do a deeper dive on that. We'll start talking difference between gross margin and net retention.
Yeah, I got that one. So I got one final question and we'll wrap it up with this. So let's imagine that this is the last time anybody's ever going to hear from you. And this podcast winds up going out to the entire world. So the whole world is going to hear what you have to say now. What is your message to the world?
Never underestimate the value of tenacity.
Very good. You want to talk about that some?
I've had successes and failures in my life. I've been in the 1% tax category, and I have been so poor I didn't know if I could afford a $5 pizza from Little Caesars. In those low moments, the only thing that will keep you going is tenacity.
That's a really beautiful place to cap it. How about we leave it there for today?
All right.
Stephen Paul Matsumoto, thank you for being my guest today on the High Performers Podcast. To all you folks out there in YouTube land, this is Alex Alexander. Y'all keep high performing.